Recording in progress. So let's make a list. All right, so let's see. This I should title something. I'm going to call this String Play Part 3. Save it. And I'm going to get a new script to play with. And I'm going to call this one, try lists. And the first thing I'm going to do in here is I'm going to go to the variables section and I'm going to make me a list. And what am I going to call the list? Let's see, what do I want to make a list of? I want to make a list of food things. Foods. Yeah, let's do foods. I had a light lunch today. I'm ready for second lunch.
About third lunch.
Well, that third lunch some days, usually early dinner.
Well, no, you mean.
Then there's foursies, right?
You have to have.
Okay, so
Between snack, afternoon snack.
there's a couple of ways to deal with lists. Once you make a list in Scratch, Scratch is going to check the list to display it like it does with new variables. And one benefit of that is there's a little plus on the bottom left corner of the list. And if you click that little plus, it gives you a space to type something into the list. For lunch, I had chili. And if you hit enter, it will not only fix that item, but it'll give you a new place to type stuff. Now, that's a good thing and a bad thing. I'll explain why it's a bad thing in a minute. So I decided to put pasta in my chili today for some weird reason. So I'm going to put pasta as my next food. And then I hit enter again, but that is a dangerous habit. Suppose I'm done with my list. What's wrong with my current list?
Yeah.
I have an empty spot in my list, and usually we don't want those. Now I can easily hit the X here and get rid of that empty spot. Not a big deal. But sometimes I've been working with lists, and all of a sudden my program like does this weird pause when I wasn't expecting it, and that's because it hit a blank line in the list, or because of the logic checking I was doing with stuff in the list, that blank threw things off. Right. So just keep in mind that can mess things up. There are a couple of ways to get lists in there. One way is to just type stuff. Okay, that's all right. Let's make another list. So I have my food list started. Now, I don't always eat the same thing every day. So today I had chili with pasta. I'm probably not going to have that tomorrow. So I think I want to add days of the week to go with my foods. So I'm going to make a new list. And I'm going to call it days. Now, again, I could hit the plus and I could type Sunday and enter and then Monday. But I just want to show you a couple of other things we can do with lists. There is underneath make a list, you see your list, there's an add thing to days. And if I put it in here and then I click it, guess what it's going to do? It's going to put thing in days. Now if I click it again, it's going to put thing in days again. Now you can repeat the same string in multiple spots in a list. No law against that. You can totally do that. You can have empty spots in a list. No law against that either. Sometimes that's okay. But it's okay to say, hey, line 3 should be empty. We want that. There could be a reason for that. Other things you can do with a list, you can delete things in a list. You can delete all of a list. You can insert at a particular spot in the list. Right? Add just goes to the next available spot, right, after the last thing. But you could decide between thing 2 and thing 3, we want to put like Monday. So I could do, for example, insert Monday not at 1, but I want to put it at 3. So if I put it at 3 in my days list, and I click on it, it's going to put it at position 3, which is going to bump the thing that was at 3 as thing 4. What if I tried to insert, how about Tuesday at 5? Is there a 5 in my list right now?
No.
Turns out Scratch is okay with that. So I'm going to click it, see what happens. It worked. Okay, now I'm going to try and put in Wednesday. Sorry, I have to mispronounce it to spell it right. Not at 5, not at 6, but I'm going to try and put it at 7. What's my list go up to right now? 5. If I try to put it at 7, doesn't do anything. So if you do try to insert just after the last row number in your list, Scratch treats it the same way as the add block. It just goes right after the last thing. But if you try to go way outside of bounds, way outside being more than one place outside of bounds, Scratch says, sorry, bud, I don't know what to do with that. Okay, Scratch just won't do it. Okay. So the fact that a list has a row number is important, and Scratch will use that as long as you're in bounds, and only sometimes when you're out of bounds. You can be one out of bound, but not more than that. Okay. So here's what I'd like you to do. I would like you to make a list of foods and make a list of days, please, and have at least 2 foods and put in the actual 7 days of the week in order. So I'm going to go back and just edit my list here. And again, we can edit with the blocks, or we can just go retype stuff in the list. I'm just going to go type. Let's see, I can get rid of thing 2, and let's get rid of thing 3. So I want Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And after I type Saturday, I am not going to hit enter because I don't want an extra blank line. And then in the bottom right corner, you can resize the list box to see everything. So I have my 7 days of the week, starting with Sunday. And once I get those in there, I say I'm going to add one more food to my list. Let's add, what's my other favorite food? Chocolate. So I got a few foods, I got a few days. For sure, I need you to have some days because we're going to play with those immediately. So like earlier, when I looped through the letters, the characters of a string, I want to loop through the rows of my list. So to do that, I'm going to need a variable to count through the list. So I'm just going to rename my variable here as position, like before. Now you could call it row if you want instead, because a list does have rows, the way it's displayed in Scratch. I'm going to leave it as position in the list. And then what I want to do is just like I did before, made my sprite earlier, just say the characters in my string. I wanted to say the days of the week one at a time. So to make that happen, we're going to have to run an event to get stuff started. We're going to have to initialize our variable. Now, my variable is counting position, so I should start my counter at 1. If this were in Java or JavaScript or C++, we would start counting at 0, by the way. And I think I'm ready to loop. I'm just going to go grab a repeat block. How many times do I want to repeat? Well, I could put a 7 there. But what if somebody says, no, I just want you to list the weekdays, not the weekend days? Then I would have to change that to a 5. The better thing to do here would be under variables, scroll down to length of in the list section. So there is a length of, and right now mine says days, but it could be foods. I'm going to choose days, and that's what I want to loop through. I want to loop as many rows as there are days. And then what I want my sprite to do is I just want it to grab a particular item from there, the item that my position variable says to get. So right now, position is set to 1. So if I click on that set position to 1, then I click on item position of days, it should say Sunday because Sunday is in position 1 in my list. And then under looks, I just want to say for 2 seconds, the item in position of days. So this is very much like looping through the characters in a string, but we're looping through the rows in a list. So that should be enough code for my sprite to say them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to variables, and I'm just going to uncheck days and foods to hide them so I can see my sprite. And then I'm going to hit the flag and hope. Well, shit, it didn't work. What happened?
You didn't change the position.
Yeah, I didn't change my position. And sometimes I forget to do that on purpose to make sure you guys are paying attention. Sometimes I just forget. Oops. So I want to change position by 1 each time. And I'm just going to make it 1 second to make it go a little faster. And then it should jump through the days. All right, questions on that so far? So the next thing I want to do is I want to do that random. To do that randomly, I'm going to need an operator that says pick a random number. And I want to pick a random number from my list. So to do that, or a random day from my list, I'm going to have to go to the variable that has the length of my list. So I can go from 1 to whatever the last row is. There should be a 7 here. So in here, when I'm doing the say position, here position routinely goes from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. What I'm going to do is instead, I'm going to pull that out, the position for item, and I'm just going to pick a random position in my list to say. So I just want, before you run it, think about what might happen with this. What could happen? Is it going to shuffle the list and say all 7 days out of order, or something else? Let's see. Monday, Thursday, Sunday, Tuesday, Friday, Monday. Oh, said Monday twice. Okay, so it didn't shuffle them. It's just randomly picking a number from 1 to 7 each time. Now, has anyone ever rolled the dice and got like 3 6s in a row? That happens. It's rare, but it happens. So it's possible this thing could go Monday, Monday, Monday. It could just randomly pick 1 3 times in a row. Every time I run it, it's going to be a little bit different. I'm not guaranteed to get every day of the week when I do this, just due to the random chance and the way I set it up. All right, we have just finished try it out number 9.2. So let's take a look at the homework for today and get our Google Docs started if you haven't already. All So chapter 9, reading assignment. So I want for sure the first 5 questions. I'm going to copy those, make myself a new folder in cs160. Yeah, I do not have my chapter 9 yet. And actually, while I'm here, I might as well create my folder for my final project as a reminder to myself to get that done today. I'm not going to get my final project done, but I am going to write it up today. Me and Adam. Thanks for letting me pick on you, Adam. You're a good sport. All right, so in chapter 9, I did a new doc. So again, if you haven't already done this, I encourage you to follow along. Chapter 9, practice or reading or whatever we call it, something like that. Fix that H. Get that in the title. Paste in the questions. All right, so let's see. Have I gone over all of these? Sort of, kind of. So I'm going to put my answer to the first one. What is a list in Scratch? A list is a collection of strings. Boom. All right. And then item number 6 here should be the try it out 9.2 or 9-2. I think they use dashes in the book. And I am going to right now share and link this sucker. Share. So again, hopefully you followed along and did that too with the days. I'm going to copy the link. Drop that sucker in there. Link. Nice. Oh, and I just realized I forgot to do something. I forgot to properly greet people today. So let me pause this recording.